Hi guys, welcome back. Before we start our lesson today on convergent plate boundaries, I wanted to make sure that everybody's good with divergent plate boundaries. I wanted to show them to you again on the map. If you look at this map, it shows South America, Africa, Europe, and United States. Remember, we know that this is a plate, this is a plate, this is the African plate, and this is the Eurasian plate. And remember, we said here was that divergent boundary. If you look at this, it's pretty cool because it shows the ocean floor, and it kind of looks like stitches or something. That's because right along here is that mid-ocean ridge that is moving these two and these two plates apart from one another. So that's our mid-ocean ridge where new seafloor is created. And then here you see little Iceland right up here. Iceland is actually this whole thing. So you can see real well that divergent boundary continues along underneath the Icelandic continent or island. Anyway, so ultimately it's tearing Iceland in two, which is called a rift valley. Remember, if a divergent boundary like this is under a continent, we refer to it as a rift valley, not as a mid-ocean ridge or seafloor spreading. It's a rift valley under continents. All right, that was a quick update. If you have any questions, please let me know. Today we are starting our lesson on convergent boundaries. Let's see here. So, convergent boundaries. Remember, convergent boundaries are where two plates, here's the plate boundary, are coming together. So we want to know where this is taking place on our surface, and we also would like to know what type of landforms are formed as a result of this. But first, let's take a look back at our plates map real quick to see if we can identify some of those locations we'll be talking about today. We are going to be talking about where one plate carrying ocean meets one plate carrying continent. That's going to be our first topic. So here the Pacific plate is coming towards the North American plate in this area. And that's where land, as you can see, here's land, meets ocean along that boundary. And another good example of this boundary type is where we look at the Nazca plate and the South American plate. So this is the Nazca plate is all water, guys, is all the Pacific Ocean. So the Nazca plate is carrying ocean, and the South American plate would be the one with the land, and they are coming together. Oceanic crust meets continental crust, and that's our focus for today. So our focus is going to be oceanic crust converging with continental crust. All right, so I hate it that we're not together, but we're going to do the best we can as I walk you through this. And remember, if you have any questions, you can message me on Google Classroom or come into Google Hangouts and hang out and ask me anything you need clarification on. So we're going to go ahead and before I start drawing, I want to explain to you that when two convergent boundaries coming together, one carrying ocean and one carrying land, oceanic crust is a lot denser than continental crust. So when these two come together, this one tends to sink below the other. So the ocean is going to sink below the continental crust because it is more dense than the continental crust. And that's how I'm going to draw it. So remember, you are taking notes with me, so If you need to at any time, pause the video and go ahead and draw what we're drawing now. So this is kind of what it's going to look like. I'm going to label these here in a second, just a minute. So I just told you that oceanic crust is going to go below the continental crust. So obviously this right here must be my Pacific plate. And this over here is my North American plate. Okay, oops. All right, we know the Pacific plate is carrying ocean, right? We know there's ocean above this, the Pacific Ocean. And we know that right along the border here where the two meet, the boundary, that we're going to see something like this. And I wonder what y'all think that is. What do y'all think that is? So this is land. So what do you think's forming here? If you say that looks like somebody drew a volcano, you're absolutely right, because this is what's happening. The Pacific plate is going beneath the, is sinking beneath the North American plate. Remember, what did we say was underneath the lithospheric plates? We have convection. So in this instance, our currents are going this way where warm is rising, pushing these two plates together, and cold is sinking. Okay, so that's how the conveyor belt works, right? Remember we said these currents in the asthenosphere with the ooey gooey magma, they work like conveyor belts. The arrows are coming together. They are pushing these two together. Well, because the oceanic crust is denser, it's sinking into the asthenosphere. So ocean, or let's put dense ocean crust sinks into asthenosphere. And what do you think is going to happen to that crust as it sinks into this area where we have ooey gooey molten magma? Well, if you said it's going to melt down, you're absolutely right. So this crust, sinking crust, will melt into magma. So obviously, what are we doing here? Are we creating crust like we did at the divergent boundary, or destroying crust? Absolutely, we are destroying crust. So this is how we don't create more crust. Where one area makes it, the other one takes it. So that's what's happening here. Now, I didn't draw in that this stuff is melting down because I wanted you to kind of see what's happening, that one goes under the other. And by the way, we do, as scientists go, we also have a name for when one plate dives beneath another. This motion of sinking crust is called subduction. Subduction, okay? So subduction is when the crust, one crust is denser and goes under another. That's called subduction. And you do need to know that term, so make sure you note that down. All right, so what's happening? Well, yeah, that crust that I drew in there, it's really not there anymore because it's already started to melt down when it got to here. It becomes part of these nice currents. But it creates so much melted magma in this area that it piles up, and it piles up and creates magma chambers underneath the continental plate. And these magma chambers, when they fill, they explode out, and we call these volcanoes. So, when you have oceanic crust converging or coming together with continental crust, number one, you have subduction taking place of the denser plate, one going up, down. That plate that is being subducted is melted down into magma, and that creates a lot of magma along the continental plate. That magma in turn creates pots of magma that ultimately create volcanoes and volcanic mountain ranges. So we're going to note that. So we're also going to just say this is a volcanic mountain range. So some people just say mountain ranges. This is a specific one because it's volcanic in nature. And if you look along the west coast of the United States, we have Mount Shasta, Mount Rainier, Mount St. Helens. So we have a whole slew of volcanoes in that one area along the coastline that are being created in this way. So if it ever says mountain ranges, check. Volcanic mountain ranges, check. Those are what's being created along this type of boundary. So once again, side note, what do we need to know? Subduction and creation of volcanic mountain ranges or volcanic mountains. Where is this taking place? Well, we showed this area. The most well-known area where this is taking place, and we're going to list not North American plate with the Pacific plate, although that is occurring, but we are going to actually list right here the South American plate and the Nazca plate. Along in here you see all kinds of different mountains, and these mountains all along here are volcanic in nature, and these are known as the Andes Mountains, and that's one of the most well-known types of oceanic crust meeting and converging with continental crust. So these are the Andes Mountains, and we'll add that here too. So the Andes Mountains. Okay. One other thing that's being created that is hard to see on this image, but you might hear or be asked about, is right along here where these two slabs meet, and one is being subducted and the other one is just keep coming. This is also called a trench. Okay, and it's a deep ocean trench. So we're going to note deep ocean trenches. And the most well-known of these, and I'm going to show you an image later, is the Marianas Trench. And I hope I spelled it right. And let me see if I can find that picture for you guys. Got a lot of pictures here. I'm not sure if I actually have that one, but we will go over that again if we need to. Nope, I don't have it. Sorry about that. But there is, if you look it up, Google it, Marianas Trench. All right, guys, that's all for today. I'm going to be not be able to upload this if it gets too long. So y'all have a great day. Remember, comment, questions, anything you need, let me know, and stay safe. Bye.